am so new to Hopin, so please bear with me. This
Can
is
you hear me?
we got
Uh-oh.
some feedback.
Yeah, that's because I have two devices on. Hold on 1 second. And I shut it down. Okay, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I have to work two different devices here with my, because StreamYard is not my friend on my laptop. So,
Okay, no
but
problem.
I'm here. If you need me, I will. If you need me to, I got a couple of questions already anyway. So, so I will
Awesome.
be here if you need. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Um, so I have a PowerPoint that I'll be doing, but when I got on earlier and did some test runs, I noticed that I couldn't see the chat when I was doing the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for those who are on, please feel free to ask questions throughout. If I'm not answering real time, it's just because the PowerPoint has not allowed me to sort of see two things at one time, right?
And
So
Kisha,
what I will,
and I'll monitor the chat too. So if there are questions, I'll let you know too.
okay,
Okay.
great. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Yep,
So yeah,
absolutely.
definitely feel free to chat up. Please let me know who is here. I definitely want to hear from you. Who are you? Where are you from? Um, and I'm going to start with a poll just as when people come in to be able to answer. Have you ever hired an attorney? So let's see. Have we ever, what's it like for all of us? Have we hired attorneys before? Have we not? Have we done it for our family? Have we done it for our business? Um, so many different reasons to hire an attorney. And let's just see where we are. Now I'm trying to create this thing. I keep hitting create and nothing happens. All right, let me try again.
And we have some folks that have had them for, of course, business purposes, and then also for personal personal reasons to have an attorney as well too. So those are a couple things that are there.
Okay, nope, it's not. I don't know why. I tell you, this is options. Type in option. Okay, yes. No. Okay, maybe now it'll work. Okay, here we go. I'm getting it, folks. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and just, have you ever hired an attorney? Yes, no. Right? And it's not, there's no right or wrong answer. We don't have to have hired an attorney. I've hired an attorney for a couple of reasons. One reason, when I was in a car accident, I hired an attorney, right? Another time was when I was leaving a hostile work environment and I hired an attorney. So I just want to hear your feedback on, and then that way it gives us an idea of what the conversation is about. So I'll start right on in. My name is Kisha Brown, and I am the founder and CEO of Justice Connection. We are the only Black lawyer referral and legal resource platform in the country. And it's all about connecting you to competent, reliable, trustworthy Black lawyers. I believe that Black lawyers are culturally competent to assist you. And so I'm going to start a PowerPoint and allow us to, okay, maybe not. Let me try this again. Maybe that's, here we go. Share. All right.
There we go.
Cooking with grease over here. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth.
So it's all about connecting you with Black lawyers. And the question has always been, I found, as soon as I started law school, people started asking, hey, do you know somebody who does X? Do you know somebody's family law? You know somebody who does criminal law? And it was clear to me that people had challenges in finding a lawyer. The whole process can be overwhelming at best, right? And inconclusive, not finding someone at worst. And I believe that we as Black people have a particular experience, let's be real, right, in our our justice system. And I wanted to ensure that we had greater access to legal resource and that we had better quality legal resources. So Justice Connection, as I said, is the Black lawyer referral and legal resource platform promoting top legal talent and connecting them to whether you're an individual, a business, and even corporations. Right now, we're based in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, with plans to scale nationally before the end of the year. One of the things that's important to us is empowering the community through active engagement and educational events to teach people about their rights and responsibilities in the law. One of the things that I think is if we are better informed, we will be more likely to proactively engage the legal system. Because oftentimes, we come across life and different challenges arise, and sometimes we just take it on the chin. We just say, oh, this is what happened, I'm just gonna have to get by, girl. And the reality is that at least having the conversation with a lawyer allows us to be better informed to make whatever choice it is. Maybe you don't pursue anything in the court or in the law or with a lawyer, but it's about having access to making those informed decisions. And so this is just some testimonials of someone who serves on the church board, right? Because the church in itself is a business, right? And that it is supposed to be steward over thousands and thousands of dollars and being able to get solid legal resources there. And then another person who had her own business. And so I understand that everybody doesn't know lawyers. I know lawyers because I am one, right? So I went to school with them and then connected to them in so many different ways. But for many people, they don't have access to lawyers. They're not sure what the process is, how to start it, what to do. And so I want to share with you some tips on what to ask a lawyer when choosing one, right? What are those things that you should know before you decide to hire one? So clearly, an easy sort of low-hanging fruit is just how many years have you been practicing, right? It's not always indicative of their experience, but it does give you some idea about their familiarity with the legal system, right? What is their engagement and experience has been? Because insight into that can help specifically about what your subject of your case is, your particular issues. Because let's say they've only been practicing 2 years, but every single case they've had or every single client they've had is similar to yours, then that person might have a better perspective and be better prepared to help you than someone who say has been practicing for 20 years but has never handled a case similar to yours, right? Or never handled this issue before. So how many years have you practiced gives you some general insight, right, into that person's experience. And then you can go right into, okay, so how many cases have you had similar to mine? I mean, one of the things that is incredible, right, is we are all unique people with all unique experiences. You live long enough, you realize you can't map out all the stuff and how it happens in life. But everything is got its own particular twist to it. So you want to be able to connect with someone who can find parallels between what you're going through, what somebody else has gone through, how it fared for them, and maybe them being able to leverage that intel on being able to advise how your situation might evolve, how it might progress. Another solid question: will you be the lawyer who manages my case? Because at some firms, depending on if it's a large law firm, the lawyer you meet may not be the person who's actually doing the research or writing the court documents or even representing you on the day of, right? Or writing your will. So you want to ask, hey, are you going to be the person who's overlooking how my case progresses? And it's important because, sometimes you develop a rapport with someone, right? And based on that rapport, it's what led you to feel comfortable and being able to hire them or share confidential information. And regardless of whoever is on your case, right, they are bound by attorney-client privilege. But sometimes it's not just about the legalese aspect of things. It's about how you feel, right? That's most important. How do you feel about this attorney, about this person that you're going to need to share probably details of something that has happened or going to happen or you don't want to happen. And so it's important that you feel comfortable. So, solo practitioners, small law firms, chances are you talking to that person's going to be the one who is with you every step of the way. At large law firms, it might be a little bit different though. So, this is, I think, one of those questions that folks sometimes feel a little uneasy asking about. How will you keep me updated on my case? Right? Because you don't want to feel like you're micromanaging or maybe pestering the lawyer, but you really want to know and you're just going stir crazy. And, it's important up front to be very clear. How does this work? Because if you're the type of person who needs a check-in every week or update email because you're busy, you need to be able to convey that to your lawyer ahead of time because you are paying for this service, right? And it's important for you to be able to feel comfortable each step of the way. Some lawyers, hey, they just gonna head down, do what they need to do for you. They may not be aware of the fact that you feel like you're not getting timely updates or being kept in the loop. So it's really important to be able to communicate that as early as possible in the relationship. Because that might be something that changes how you feel, right, about hiring a particular lawyer. And so I always like this one, like, what's your approach to representing your client's best interests? Because there's no right or wrong answer, right? It's an open-ended question, but it can give you insight into how that lawyer sort of handles the work that they do. And a lot of lawyers will probably take that as an opportunity to share how passionate they are about representing their clients and the type of service and quality that they want to deliver. So having sometimes an open-ended question allows people to say something that maybe you weren't expecting, to get a feel, even an informal or personal perspective that allows you to connect with that person in a different way. What is the estimated cost? Come on now, because a lot of times we are quite concerned, right, that hiring a lawyer is going to be super expensive, that it's going to be outside of our budget, that we can't manage it. And so oftentimes we don't even engage in the process, right, of hiring someone or seeking out a consultation because we said, girl, I can't even begin to afford this. And the reality is that not all cases are paid the same. Not sometimes when you're working with a lawyer, there's a contingency fee, right, or contingency relationship where if you win your settlement, your case, that lawyer then gets a percentage of it, right? They don't get paid if you don't win. Sometimes it's a full retainer and they say, hey, I'm going to need X amount of money up front. There's a lot of fees and things that I'll be just working right off of that. You don't have to worry about every 1 week or so having to pay me based on how many hours. We just work off of the retainer. Some folks are very clear, hey, this is my hourly rate. And then others, especially I find in those who are doing handling wills, trust, and estates, they just have a flat fee. Hey, this is the flat fee, and all the amount of time that is needed to deliver this is what we do, right? They don't do it and break it down hourly. So it really varies. It's really important for you to know upfront so that you don't feel like, what in the world 2 weeks from now when, the hourly rate, or if that's the case, comes in and you feel shocked, sticker shock. Nobody likes to get to the the cashier, right, and be like, wait, I didn't know this is how much it costs. I didn't see that extra zero, right? Because I'm good for going to the cashier and be like, don't ring this up yet. I just want to see how much it costs first, right? And so it's sometimes an uncomfortable conversation to have about money, but the lawyer as well wants to make sure that you can pay, right? That you can afford whatever this type of service or this case will cost. And I will tell you, it's okay not to know how much lawyers cost and what legal fees run up. Most folks, when they're filling out the form to start the process, they just choose unsure, right? And I think we as lawyers take for granted that it's like, oh, this is my rate. But it's really important for us to be able to share with the public the value that you're getting, right? When you go to the store, you pay for something, you get that pair of shoes, you get that food, and it's like, okay, that's my exchange. Here's the money, you gave me the food. Here's the money, you gave me the shoes. But with a lawyer, it's different because you can't see it, you can't touch it, right? Oftentimes. And so being able to understand having a relationship with someone who is groomed and taught in legal analytics and analysis and is well versed in the law and the practice of applying the law to particular situations is what you're paying for. Right. And I will tell you, there'll be folks who'll be like, oh, I didn't go to law school, but I sure do act like a lawyer. No, you don't. Right. Trust, believe there is value in someone who has been trained to be a lawyer and to think like a lawyer and to process like a lawyer and being able to do so on your behalf. Right. Some things are priceless because it takes away the stress, the burden, um, and the uncertainty, and puts it in the hands of someone who can assist you. Right. That's important. So when choosing a lawyer, right, it's all about who is the right fit for you. You'll sign a retainer agreement with that lawyer so that it's clear that you now have an attorney-client relationship. Because let me tell you, if you just go up to an attorney and you say, let me ask you a question, can you give me some legal advice? And the attorney says, sure, let me give you some legal advice. And that doesn't happen. Okay, it doesn't happen. Attorneys are very reluctant, and we just don't. We've been trained not to. So you just don't offer legal advice, right? I can give you some options, some suggestions, but legal advice is something that is shared between an attorney and a client, right? Because when you hire me, I'm now responsible for giving you solid legal information, and we take that very seriously, right? And like I said, don't be shy about asking those questions and asking those questions up front. And even if you don't ask it up front, don't be shy about coming back, weeks later and saying, hey, I just had a couple more questions, right? Or what about this? I forgot about that, right? It's all okay. And lawyers are expecting you to. They are expecting you to be able to do that. And so, I just want to be able to take some questions, share a little bit more. I would love for everyone to connect with us on Facebook, subscribe on our website. If you go to our website, you'll have a pop-up that comes up about things to ask or things to consider before hiring an attorney, right? So it's about like whether you can handle this yourself, whether you can, whether the statute of limitations has run out, what the cost will be, the return on your investment. So go ahead, if you subscribe on our website, you'll get that PDF sent directly to you. Let's see. So that's Justice Connection for Instagram, Facebook, and okay, perfect. So do we get anybody who show results? What? Nobody voted? I see 10 of y'all watching and nobody voted. All right. We'll ask a different question. But let me, pause for a second and see if there are any questions. Okay, great. The chat has been coming up.
Yeah, it might have when you have the share, I don't know if you can see the chat, but I think once you out of that share mode, then you can see the chat.
Yep. No, I see it.
Cool.
Right, I hear you, Brother David. Like a lot of people get inquiries, and that's actually what led to me creating Justice Connection, right? So I feel like from the minute I started law school, I went to Georgetown University Law Center, based in DC. And from the minute I started, I felt like people were asking, hey, Kisha, do you have a lawyer that you can refer to us? And I would go through my phone and I would go through my email and see, hey, do you handle this? Do you handle that? And I just felt like we as Black people did not have our own network, right? And can you imagine in 2021 that all of the lawyer referral sites, and I don't know where everybody's living, right? But it really doesn't matter, because if you see the billboards, the Moran, the 1-800-LAWYER, the Science and Kirks, the Fair and Fair, they got the commercials, they come on during Judge Duty. Those folks are basically lawyer referral sites as well, right? They really are, because they don't take all of those cases. What they do is you see their jingle, you hear them, and you say, you know what, let me call Farrah and Farrah and see if they can help my nephew, right? And they say, oh, great, we don't handle that, but let us connect you to, right? And that's how they keep it in their good old boy network. And
Yeah,
so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let me ask you this, Keisha. How do we? Because you said something very important. How do we move from or how do I should say, what's one of the solutions you would have to developing that network that we need in order to be able to have, because that is so important. That's what this symposium is about. It's economic empowerment, and one of the things that we're discussing, and I think that has been talked about, and I know we're going to talk about it a little later, is having that network that you talked about in place. Because if I need an attorney, if I need an accountant, if I need a consultant, I should have a place to be able to go with, as us as a community, to be able to have
Uh-oh. Did anybody else stop hearing? Hi, Lenita. Hello. Thanks for joining. Okay. It's not just me, Dr. Dowden. It's, I think maybe, yeah, it looks like, um, oh, hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh.
Oh, no, no, no. You broke up towards the end, but
Oh, I'm
um,
sorry.
no problem. So that is why I created Justice Connection, right? It is your one-stop shop to be able to connect with a Black lawyer. And a Black lawyer is definitely somebody that every one of us needs to have in our circle. And it's not one of the crucial things, and I love that in the chat this sort of came up. One of the crucial things is not waiting until we're in crisis, right? The sugar honey iced tea has hit the fan, and we are just like, I need somebody tomorrow, right? We want to be able to develop a relationship with a lawyer. So if you have a business, right? If you are a business owner, and a business does not have to be brick and mortar, come on now, we know that, right? So whether you are selling pies every Sunday, whether you braid hair, whether you've got an idea that you're still in the beginning parts of putting together, or Justice Connection, right? Bootstrapping and building it brick by brick. If you are a business person, an entrepreneur, right? You need to have a lawyer in your tribe. They say you need two things, right? A lawyer and accountant in your tribe. And it's not about, oh, I'm gonna wait till I franchise, right? I'm gonna wait till I blow up to get a lawyer. It's really about connecting with somebody and building that relationship, because I'll tell you, a consultation is worth it. It's worth it, because let's say you pay $300 for a consultation, right? So here it is. This person is now hearing about your business. They're hearing about some of the things that you're working on, where you want to go, where you are, where you've been. And they can, give you some good advice. Hey, this is some things you want to look at, or let me know when you need me to review some contracts. This sounds great. Here's a pitfall that I find that most business owners fall into, right? And then when months later, not if, when months later, right? Something goes down, you get a contract from somebody, you're like, yes, this is great. Or you're able to hire and you're trying to figure out how to manage employees. Or you have a business opportunity presented to you. You can call that lawyer up and say, hey, do you have time for a couple of questions? Or I have a quick question for you, right? Chances are that lawyer is not going to now charge you for the 15 minutes, right, that you guys just spent on the phone. And you're able to get that information, and it's about developing that relationship, because now you feel comfortable with that person. So when something big does happen, you're able to go to that person and they're able to help you, right? And continue to help you, and help you from an informed perspective. Not just, okay, here's Dr. Carter's problem. Oh, you wanted what? Oh, you wanted the HR problem. Here it is. Boom. Thank you. Right? You want someone who knows you and knows your business. Same thing for when it's time to get a will. I've recently discovered that 70% of us, y'all, 70% of us do not have a will. Um, I do not have a will. And so it's so imperative for us to begin to um, solidify our legacy, to make sure that, you know, grandma's house isn't sitting there on the block collecting dust because it's stuck in probate, right? Because there was no document that clearly articulated who it was supposed to go to. And so there are so many different avenues that a lawyer can support us. And, you know, my goal is to be able to educate and empower us in the law so that we feel more informed and more comfortable in being able to approach the lawyer.
That is so true. That is so true. And especially when it comes to, can you talk a little bit about from a business perspective, having those affairs in order? Because if something happens, what can be the ramifications of someone who had a business or might have been a partner in a business? Because that can affect someone else as well.
Yeah, good questions. And thank you, David. I appreciate that. This is why we're here. We built this for Black people to feel educated and empowered. And Ricky, I appreciate that as well. Anybody who's interested in having a lawyer, and that's the one of the awesome things, right? We are experts. We specialize, we focus on so many different areas. So it's everything from small businesses to wills to criminal law to family to taxes, right? To mergers and acquisitions, personal injury, what to do on the job when you feel harassed or discriminated. If you're looking for someone to come to your community group, your social group, your book club, definitely reach out. I'd be happy to connect you with a lawyer to be able to share, because it is about us as Black lawyers really taking to heart our responsibility to support and advocate and defend our community. Okay, wait, now I forgot your question. Sorry.
No, what I was saying, can you just talk a little bit about the importance of having your affairs in order, or being an entrepreneur, having a business, and how that can affect the business itself if something were to happen to you, and if that business has other partners with it.
Yeah. No, that's why I was like, great question. So one of the things that one of the lawyers I have in the network um, specializes in wills, trust, and estates, but also in business. A couple of them. It's actually a Black woman who has a firm of all Black women. It's very dope. And we had a discussion recently. I was doing a Black lawyer roundtable series, and she talked just that, right? About the what happens for us who have these small businesses, right? But even when you have a small business, you've got something there, right? You've got inventory, you've got something that makes the business have some value. You've got, whether it's the intellect, whether it's the contacts, whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the software. There's so many different aspects, right, of our business that sometimes we underestimate actually is a thing. And she talked about what happens when it's just you, right, who's running it, and something happens. Where does that go? Who does that go to? And how important it is for us as business owners to really think through and take serious what we've created, what we're creating, and build that into our legacy, build that into what it is that we pass down to our children, our grandchildren, our godchildren, our community, our churches, right? And so it's so important to be able to get our affairs in order. And I will say I'm learning as I go, right? I'm with you. So I know, Leroy, it is like what, 70%. And then I look around, I'm like, oh, I don't have a will. And I bet you half my friends don't either. More than half of my friends don't, right? And so one of the things that we're excited to really embark on at Justice Connection are some educational series, and not just education about like, oh, what is a will, which is important, right? And all the constructs thereof, but how having these vehicles, like how if we like take advantage of putting these things together from an informed vantage point. Now, we may not always be able to afford the deluxe package, right? The full thing. But it is so imperative for us to be able to say, I don't want everything that I've worked hard for to just vanish. I don't want the government to get it. I don't want it to get caught up in tax collecting, bill pay, or whatever. That I want to be really intentional about everything that I've worked so hard for while I'm on this planet and alive and above ground. And I want to make sure that those things that are important to me, those things that have value, those things that I've poured into, that they go to people that I love, right? On purpose and aid in that legacy building. So this is where it is about us also being able to prioritize, because I was sticker shock. I get sticker shock too, y'all. I'm a lawyer, but I don't practice in a firm, right? I'm all about building this network and being an entrepreneur. And excuse me, I am in, this is usually not my backup, my background, but my daughter was in the other room with the babysitter, and I was like, I just got to get to the furthest place where we will not hear her. So I do realize somebody's like, is that the bed in the background? Yes, this is the guest room. This is not usually my background, but I wanted to make sure that we had some quiet time to ourselves to be able to get to business. But so yes, it is imperative for us to really be able to make sure that our legacy, and we have a legacy, does not get lost, right? And so if that means that we forecast that, hey, by this time next year, that's when I'm going to have a will, and it means that I need to save $50 a month. Okay, because I'm a cheapo, as my family will say. I'm frugal, right? So I'll get the chicken instead of the shrimp now, because I know if that $4 or whatever adds up. So we spend money on what we value, right? And what we're prioritizing. And I want to be able to help us see the value in legal counsel in so many different aspects of life, that we begin to prioritize that as a part of our budget, right? Because we done already worked in cable, Netflix, gas, food, essentials, right? I did say Netflix, I guess, is part of the essentials at this point. But it's also about being able to work into budget, making sure that if we don't get screwed, right, that we have access to legal counsel when we want it. And Justice Connection is free. I'm not charging you to get those connections. Now, whatever the lawyers in the network, they charge a whole range. It could be anything from $250 an hour to $700 an hour. The higher price are always usually, well, not always, but they're usually going to be your big firm partners who don't have flexibility on how much they charge an hour. I don't think you always need a big firm, right? At all. That's a lifestyle choice. There are folks who went to the same schools, right? Have had as many cases, and decided that they were going to be solo practitioners or work at a small firm, right? Work for themselves. Big firm is oftentimes, I think there is this built-in prestige, but it comes at a cost, right? Those people usually work 100 hours a week. They have a lot of pressure to bill. When you're a smaller factory, or smaller business, I should say, not a factory, you have more flexibility, right? So looking at some of the comments, making sure that I'm going to put my website and my email so that if anybody wants to connect, they can. I'm always open to, being able to provide lawyers for speaking opportunities, and bring them out into the community, which I think is really important. And I love on both ends, Black lawyers are more than eager to do that. And the Black community has been so energetic in wanting to see more Black lawyers, right? So I see we have a career transition coach in the room, some entrepreneurs, servant of servants. I know that's right. Business strategists. Tell me, what any kind of thoughts, or let me see, any kind of thoughts that you have so far, right? An attorney can join our list by at the website. It has an option for attorneys get listed. And one of the things that we do to make it easy for the average person when they come to the site is we make sure that the attorneys are properly barred, meaning that they're licensed to practice law in the state that they say they are, and that they have no pending or past or current grievances against them. So a grievance would be basically where somebody has formed a complaint against that lawyer and a formal complaint, and that is being decided before the attorneys. We have through the judiciary a we have a commission. Usually, it's what it is, a panel of folks who will decide whether somebody broke the law, the ethical rules of being a lawyer, and those we take very seriously. So no, everybody like so right now, our lawyers are based in DC, Maryland, Virginia. They're barred all over. They're probably barred in at least half the states around the country. And then we are going national, meaning that lawyers from all over will be able to join before the end of the year. So that's just around the corner. So we're really excited to branch out and build and continue to serve. Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for going to the website and signing up. I am not into spam, so you will not be seeing emails from us every day. We usually send a newsletter once a month that has some tips and maybe some thoughts from some lawyers, some information. It's usually like a 2-3 minute read just to keep you in the loop and remembering us. And on the website, we've got a blog. We talk about everything, y'all, from prenups, right? Because we don't talk about prenups, but prenups, elder care, because, with the graying of America and all of us now, taking care of our elders and making sure that those who are surrounding our elders are doing right by them. So we talk about that in a blog. We talk about COVID-19 issues related specifically to the Black community. We talk about business, like I think there's one that's like the top 10 reasons if you're in business, you need a lawyer. So we try to touch on a variety of different subjects, and we'll be putting out videos, explainer videos. We've also got some Black lawyer roundtable videos we put out. Yes, please tell your niece about us, who's an entertainment lawyer. We would love to have her in the network. It's all about us building what we need for ourselves, right? I tell you, when I left my last 9 to 5, I was driving in my car, leaving there, and it was one of the clearest times I've ever spoken with God. And God said, "Are you ready?" Right here it was. I was at this job. It wasn't like working out. I was director of external affairs for this private company, and it was a situation where they clearly did not hear me when I spoke in my interview about what I was interested in doing and why I was interested in the position, and we were not well aligned, and it was a hostile work environment. And when it was time to leave, I was in the car, and God said, "Are you ready?" And I just inherently knew what God was referring to. And I said, "Yeah, let's do this." Right. And from that moment, I've felt very clear about this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, it's not clear what every day and what the process and building and fundraising and marketing and sales and all those elements, right? I'm sure as those of you engaged in business know, right? That stuff ain't clear. But I feel that I am exactly where God wants me to be doing this work, and very much committed to it. So I'm bootstrapping it and building it from scratch. Okay. Wow. Dr. Dowden, that is, I know, something that is quite heartbreaking, right? It can be so challenging to find a Black lawyer. And let me tell you, there's two parts. One is we are only 5% of all lawyers. So there aren't actually, it's not a very diverse profession. And part of that is because it's challenging to bring in new clients. So it's on both sides. Black lawyers are trying to find who's my next client, how can I help someone, how do I eat, right? And at the same time, people are trying to find us. And that's why we feel like Justice Connection is uniquely positioned to serve that need and be a win-win to increase access to justice overall. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate it. Please do stay in touch. Thank you, Libra. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Reverend. So I will. It's 2:42. I was told, give folks a little bit of time between sessions. For anybody else who may have just joined or who has been here, do you have any thoughts? Any other questions? Any feedback, something you'd like to see from Justice Connection, something you wish you saw more or knew more of, and then that way we can make sure on our end that we're doing our part to meet your needs and bringing you the content and the information that would be most helpful to you. I'm definitely open, would love to hear any of your thoughts about, hey, Kisha, I want to know more about ... I feel like my community could benefit from ... Always open to that feedback, and want to make sure that we are bringing everything that our community needs in the legal realm. Sure. I get this email directly, Reverend. So perfect. I will look out for you, and we can connect offline via email. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, perfect. Let me see. So and then if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can follow us at Justice Connection. We send out a lot of different snippets and spotlight our lawyers on our social sites as well. LinkedIn, we're on LinkedIn on that as well. So yeah, this has been such a pleasure. I'm so encouraged by this economic empowerment symposium and bringing folks together and being so innovative and using a new platform, because it's not easy, y'all, just, putting together a conference and then choosing to put together a conference on a platform that really allows people to connect and collaborate in really cool ways. So it's just been so cool. I hope to always stay connected to the Rethinking Church. Some amazing people. So this has been such a pleasure. And I'll hang around if anybody wants to put in the chat, but otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.